want to thank Memorial Sloan Kettering in general for having this important event, and I hope it continues to grow every year, because obviously this type of cancer is growing and the world needs to know. I'm very grateful that I'm here today to share my story with you. I think it really will illustrate a lot of the different things that the two doctors spoke of in their talks. 2 years ago, speaking at a head and neck cancer event is probably the last thing I thought I would be doing. I had just turned 31 and felt like my life was in front of me. I was in good health. I exercised regularly, ate a healthy diet, maintained a good weight, rarely drank, and had never smoked. I'd opened my own private psychotherapy practice at the beginning of the year, and my husband and I finally bought the home that we had been saving for a few years. We were looking forward to having children soon. And then my world came crashing down around me. It began in early November of 2013 with a slight sore throat that would not go away. It was not especially painful, but it was really odd because it felt sore in one specific area in the back of my throat that I could kind of just point to with one finger. Food seemed to get caught and pull a bit when I swallowed. I figured it was a virus or maybe strep. When it didn't go away after a week and a half, I went to see my primary care doctor. He couldn't see anything when the strep test was negative, so he sent me to an ENT, who I was able to get in to see the next day. The ENT scoped me to look down my throat. He said he saw a spot that looked like an ulcer, he called it, but that was probably nothing. But he wanted to make sure, so he ordered some imaging, and he said we'd do a biopsy just to check it. So I didn't really think of anything of it because he didn't seem to be worried. So I got an MRI soon after, and I went to pick up the report when it was ready. I started reading the report while leaving the imaging center. My heart stopped and my mind went blank. At the bottom of the report it said, probable squamous cell carcinoma. I almost went back inside to tell them that they had given me the wrong scan. I couldn't have cancer. I called my ENT right away, and he confirmed that seemed to be true, but only the biopsy scheduled a few days later could actually confirm it. The biopsy did confirm the diagnosis, stage 4, squamous cell, base of tongue, carcinoma, with potential lymph node involvement. So, pretty advanced as far as cancer goes. I cried when I found out, but at the same time I couldn't believe that it could possibly be true. People my age aren't supposed to get cancer, right? The biopsy also revealed that it was caused by the HPV virus, as Dr. Baxley was talking about. HPV sounded vaguely familiar to me. I was aware it could cause cervical cancer and that there was a vaccine for it that had come out when I was about 25. I had no idea that it could also cause head and neck cancer. All the doctors I saw kept telling me how rare my type of cancer is for women, especially young women. Like I'd won some type of screwed up lottery. I walked around in a haze, trying to process the fact that I had cancer. That month was a blur as my husband and I saw doctor after doctor and tried to decide what treatment option would be best. My amazing husband also did hours of research to find out about the latest and most promising treatments. The local doctors all said that radiation and chemo were the only option. However, when I went to see ENT surgeons at the larger, more specialized hospitals, all three of them told us that tumor was operable using a newer technology called TORS, transoral robotic surgery, a robot-assisted surgery that allows the surgeon to operate on tumors that were previously inoperable. Despite potential long-term risk to my speech and swallowing, I decided to have the surgeries, which included a neck dissection on the left side of my neck to remove the lymph nodes, followed by the TORS tumor resection a few days later. I felt that the surgery was my best chance for a cure. I scrambled to apply for short-term disability, hoping I would not be out of work long and that this nightmare would be over soon. After the surgery, I was in the ICU a few days due to the bleed rest from the surgery, and then on a regular for a total of a week. I had to relearn how to eat and talk with help from a speech therapist. Thinking about the experience now, it seems surreal. like it happened to someone else. It was such a bizarre experience. I ate through a feeding tube the first week, and then transitioned to pureed foods. I gradually increased the texture over the next 2 weeks at home until I could finally eat solid foods again after about a month. The pain was intense. I had to take heavy painkillers so that I could eat. The speech and swallowing exercises were incredibly frustrating. I could barely move my tongue, and the exercises made it hurt even worse. But I was determined to work hard towards regaining functioning. My speech was garbled and barely intelligible at first. As I did the exercises multiple times a day, it very slowly improved. I often got discouraged by the pain and with my seemingly non-existent progress. My husband, family, and friends cheered me on, encouraging me to keep trying. It was hard to believe that I would ever feel better when I felt so bad every day, but the pain gradually improved, my strength slowly returned, my speech got clearer, and swallowing started to come a little easier. I thought the surgery would be the end of my cancer treatment, but it was actually only the beginning. Even though my surgeons were able to remove the whole solid tumor, the cancer had already started to spread across my tongue through the nerves and capillaries. After a month of recovery from the surgery, I had to start round 2. Radiation and high-dose chemo at the same time. Luckily, the center where I was treated had proton therapy radiation, a new treatment with less radiation scatter and therefore less significant side effects than other radiation treatments. My husband fought our insurance to get it covered, and it was finally approved. I struggled more with the chemo radiation than I did with the surgery. At least with the surgery, it was done, and I felt a little better every day. In contrast, I felt worse and worse each day of chemo radiation, and knew I would feel much worse before I started feeling better again. As I did the treatments, after about 2 weeks, I had an increasing pain in my mouth and throat, which made it more and more difficult to eat. Soon I was back to eating only soft and pureed foods, mostly mac and cheese, lukewarm soup, melted milkshakes, and protein shakes, because I couldn't get anything else down. Anything hot or cold or with any amount of spice killed my throat. Every bite and swallow was torture, even with heavy medication. Plus, the radiation caused an incredibly painful burn all over my neck and chest, and also caused the lower half of my hair to fall out. I was so tired from the radiation and chemo that it was a challenge to walk even a few blocks, and I had to continuously take medication to suppress the nausea from the chemo. Because the hospital I was treated was so far from home, my husband and I had to live near the hospital during my 6 weeks of treatment. We were very lucky that we were able to stay at an American Cancer Society Hope Lodge, lodging for patients in cancer treatment and their caregivers. The facility was very nice, but it was challenging to be away from home during such a difficult time. It made it hard for my husband to work. However, it truly was a blessing to be at the Hope Lodge because the other cancer survivors and caregivers were so supportive to me and my husband. It meant a lot to be around others that truly understood what we were going through every day and could give us encouragement and tips to get through the hell of treatment. My side effects got so intense by the time I finished treatment that I ended up in the hospital for a few days. Once I was home, I worked hard in physical therapy to regain my strength and in speech therapy to continue to improve my swallowing and speech. I'm very lucky that my swallowing and speech are minimally affected by the treatment. Many people have permanent speech impediments and swallowing difficulties after the surgery and treatment that I've had. It was about a month before I was able to return to work part-time. It was another month before I could work full-time. I was still very weak and my energy level was low, so working took a lot out of me. But I was determined to return to some semblance of normal. I was done with being sick and needing to be taken care of. Prior to my diagnosis, I was a very independent, self-sufficient person. It was a challenge for me to accept the help that I needed from my husband, family, and friends during my treatment. In my mind, it meant I was weak or I had failed somehow, which I know is silly, but that's just kind of how I felt. My illness has been important education for me. I had to learn to put down my cape of perfectionism, naked in my weakness, and let my loved ones help me, something I never could have done if I didn't get sick. My cancer has actually been a blessing in that way because it brought me closer to my husband, family, and friends. I wish that was the end of my cancer story. I certainly thought it would be. but my first PET scan in July of 2014 showed a few tiny nodules in both my lungs, 2 on my left and 1 on my right. They were about 2 to 3 millimeters, too small to biopsy, so we had to play the wait and see game. Every 2 months I had a chest CAT scan, and each time the nodules grew slightly, very slightly, 1 to 2 millimeters. The waiting was torture. It was horrible not knowing whether the cancer had spread and not being able to do anything about it yet. We were waiting for one of the nodules to get big enough to biopsy. From September to November 2014, I participated in a research trial at my treating hospital for individuals with HPV head and neck cancer, a series of 4 vaccines that they hoped would help the immune system to identify and kill any remaining cancer cells. I hope to be doing something that could potentially fight cancer while I continue to wait. I also participated in a wonderful health promotion program for cancer survivors at the Lyme State called Live Strong. The exercise portion of the program helped me to regain my strength and endurance, and the support of the trainers and fellow cancer survivors was invaluable. Finally, my pulmonologist felt the nodules in my November CAT scan were large enough to potentially biopsy, although their location could make them difficult to reach. This proved to be true. He was unable to reach any of them to biopsy. Next step was surgery to remove one of the nodules. I felt like my life was on repeat. It was only a year ago that I got my initial diagnosis. We consulted 2 different top surgeons, and I chose the one that removed both of the nodules in my left lung instead of just one. But once he got in there, he found additional tumors, including a few tiny ones in the pleural area outside of my lung. The biopsy confirmed that they were metastatic from my original cancer. There are no words to describe what it's like to get a diagnosis of metastatic cancer. It was the first time that I thought I might die of cancer. The torch of hope that I've been carrying throughout all the hardship of treatment suddenly seemed very heavy. Since the cancer had spread to more than one area, it made it likely that additional tumors would appear even though I only had one small tumor that was visible on my scans in my right lung. I would need systemic treatment that would treat my whole body at the same time. Because I'd already gotten the gold standard in chemo for my type of cancer, an oncologist advised me to enroll in a clinical trial in immunotherapy. My husband again did hours of research to try to figure out what trial seemed most promising for my type of cancer. Once the list was narrowed down, we had appointments with the hospitals that had those trials. Most of the trials were already full, which was really frustrating. I was anxious to start treatment. Finally, in late January this year, Dr. Baxi here at Memorial Sloan Kettering let me know that they had an opening in a trial that combined Erbitux, also known as cetuximab, a standard head and neck treatment that slows cancer cell growth, and urelumab, an experimental immunotherapy that's supposed to boost your immune system. I started the trial soon after and have been on it since then. The difficult thing about clinical trials is that you do not know whether the treatment will help or not because it's so new. I've been very lucky so far. My first scan 2 months into treatment showed that the growth of my tumor had slowed and that there were no new tumors. My next scan this past June showed no growth, no spread, and no new tumors, which is amazing for something that was pretty much growing and spreading up until this point. I'm now considered to have stable disease. These are amazing results and it's given me a newfound hope for the possibility of a cure or at least additional time, more than I would have expected. Plus, after initially having some side effects the first month of treatment, I've had minimal side effects, which is also amazing. People who know about my diagnosis often tell me, "You look great," with a special emphasis on the great. I always thank them and I'm very grateful that I currently feel pretty good. But this simple, innocent comment from others always reminds me of the fact that even though I may look healthy on the outside, I still may have a long journey ahead. However, this whole experience has made me focus more on pursuing the things that make my life meaningful, like expanding my private practice, spending time with family and friends, and enjoying nature. This has all made me realize what matters to me in life and take steps towards creating the life that I want to be living now instead of putting off till tomorrow. No matter how long I have, whether it's a year or 10 years or 60 years, I want to truly be living my life to the fullest each day. I like to think that my story is actually a love letter to current cancer treatment and research. As little as 10 years ago, it's unlikely that I would be here speaking with you today without all these exciting new medical advances. Instead, I'm working full-time, I'm healthy besides whatever illness remains to be cured, and I'm able to speak and swallow. I am here speaking to you today because all the cancer centers that have done so many years of research to optimize traditional treatment and minimize side effects, while also pioneering new treatment techniques. I'm also very happy that there's now a vaccine for children that actually prevents them from ever getting my type of cancer because it prevents the HPV virus from getting it. They should get it between ages 9 and 11, but can get it up to age 25 if they haven't already. And both boys and girls should get it because both sexes can have HPV cancer. The vaccine did not exist when I was a child. All the generations after mine have the opportunity to completely eradicate this type of cancer if enough people are vaccinated, which is awesome. The most amazing advancements in cancer research have occurred in only the past few years. Through immunotherapy, genetic therapy, and other targeted treatments, researchers have started to harness our body's ability to heal itself instead of relying on other outside methods of killing the cancer. Without the new targeted treatments, people like me might have already run out of treatment options by now. Somehow my current treatment is helping my body to fight the cancer. I also have a number of friends that are doing well in clinical trials, and the preliminary research for these therapies is very promising. So promising that the FDA accelerated the approval process to get one of the immunotherapy drugs on the market quicker. Now and in the future, cancer will often be more of a chronic condition treated over time instead of the acute health crisis that has been in the past. With the rate that research is progressing, I'm confident that we will see cures for more and more cancers over the next few decades. I'm proud to be part of this research and excited to see what the future of cancer research will bring. I hope that I can continue to tell my story as a way to inspire others. Thank you.